Today's podcast, we're talking about the aspect of resting and recharging where preparation breeds confidence coming out of our time off. Whether it's a short vacation or a longer sabbatical, allowing time for visioning and reflection helps breed confidence for the road ahead. Welcome back to The Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world. Hey everybody, it's Jason and welcome back to the Thermostat Podcast, wherever you are and however you're coming to the podcast today. Welcome in. So glad you are here. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. So glad you are here. We have over 180 episodes, so dive in. Past episodes, great interviews, great micropods on things that could add value and contribute to your life and work. So glad you're here. And anybody who's been with us from the beginning, welcome back. So glad this continues to add value to your life and work. My commitment, as always, will be, I want this to be a place where for your own week, your own month, whatever it is, when you're listening to this, to step back, to think, to have time and space to think about the temperature that you're trying to set in your life and work. And then what does it look like to breathe oxygen into that and bring out the best in you? And my hope is that these episodes breathe a little oxygen into you for the journey ahead. Before we start today, if you'll do me the quick favor and rate the podcast 5 stars, please. Just take a moment to 5 stars. Give it the click, and that'd be great. If you obviously are, if you aren't subscribing already to the podcast, I hope you'll do that too. But rate the podcast 5 stars. If you can leave a review in your own authentic words on whatever platform you're listening, that always helps the algorithms find the find the episodes and topics that people are out there looking for. So thanks to everybody that does that. Obviously, every time you share it on social media or say, hey, share an episode with your team or friends and say, hey, this is something we ought to be talking about in our organization, that's how this stuff spreads as well. So thanks to everybody who takes the time to do that. Thank you. Today is the last of a series that we've been doing, these kind of shorter, very purposeful content due to this time of year. And really the encouragement to myself and to you is to find time, to carve out time somewhere for you to step back, to recharge, to rest, not just a vacation and not just for the sake of kind of, not working, but in the spirit of carving out intentional time to step back, to recharge, to rest so that you can be at your best when your best is needed. And again, the impetus of this series on rest and recharging comes from my own yearly commitment to carve out time in the year, typically in the mid-year. I am intentional about other times throughout the year that I carve out time to get away from work or go on vacation or rest. But very intentionally mid-year, I carve out time to recharge, to study, to rest, and allow for new growth to emerge. And I've watched the way that this practice of recharging has helped me to not get complacent with things in my life and work. It allows me time and space to discover some new ideas, certainly to rest my own body and my own mind, and also reconnect to the most important people in my life, and to make sure I'm naming and honoring time very intentionally with them, and also to think about purpose and mission and all the things that I'm trying to be about in my life. So every year, the practice of stepping back helps me get better at everything else that I do, and all the clients and organizations that I'm lucky to serve and grateful to serve. It helps me actually get better at that, but also at being the person that I hope to be in the world. And so people often are asking me or saying that, hey, give me some strategies for how to spend time off beyond just a normal vacation. How do I kind of spend some sabbatical time or intentional time off to rest, to recover, to recharge? And that's been the purpose of this series. So On today's podcast, we're talking about the aspect of resting and recharging where preparation breeds confidence coming out of our time off. Whether it's a short vacation or a longer sabbatical, allowing time for visioning and reflection helps breed confidence for the road ahead. But before we dive into today's topic, let's pause, take a quick break, and we'll be right back. If you haven't done so already, we hope you'll visit Amazon or Amplify or jasonvbarger.com to check out Breathing Oxygen, my new book that is all about breathing good oxygen into ourselves and mindsets that fuel ourselves and the teams and the organizations around us. Positive, healthy thinking is as essential to great leadership and building a winning culture as the air we breathe. Leading yourself and a team of people has never been more complicated than it is today. As a leader, every move you make is either breathing life into your organization or slowly killing it. The atmosphere can easily turn toxic with negativity, blame, and doubt poisoning the culture. Just like every being on the planet needs good air to breathe, every organization needs leadership that breathes life into its people to sustain the energy required to complete its mission. Breathing Oxygen focuses on 6 key leadership mindsets that breathe life into any team: clarity, inclusivity, mental agility, grit, rest, and ownership. Join us, read, and share Breathing Oxygen.
Available now from Amplify Books on Amazon and jasonvbarger.com.
So thanks for joining me on this quick micropod series. Again, this is the last in a series of this ethic of recharging, of resting, so that we can be at our best when our best is required. These episodes have been shorter and quick doses of encouragement to you and to me to practice this art of slowing down in order to speed up, that will help us be better and more effective down the road in whatever endeavors you're choosing or that are exciting to your mind and your heart. And the connection to this that, years ago when I wrote my second book, called Remember, Renewing Our Memberships, Relationships, and Focus in a Distracting World, I cited the study from the Harvard Business Review about the number of times in an average day that we as humans are distracted and kind of jumping from task to task. And 300 to 500 times in an average day are people kind of jumping back and forth, distracted between different things. And it equated that people were equating that this kind of busyness or multitasking was equal to, or it was equating to effectiveness. And people were unfortunately buying into this myth that this kind of multitasking, distracted mindset actually leads to effectiveness. And what the Harvard Business Review pointed out is it's leading to about a 30% productivity rate, which, again, the main findings of the study showed that the most effective people, teams, and organizations actually create time to slow down in order to speed up. So this whole series is not just, hey, this is a good idea and this will make you feel good and this is, will help you help your own mental health. Of course, all of those things are true, but also it'll help us be more effective at whatever it is that you're working on, the relationships and the work, your team, your organization, the mission of whatever you're trying to accomplish, that actually the people in this study that took time to slow down and rest even, to get intentional about their own actions, their focus, were actually the ones that were more effective coming out of those periods of slowing down. And so we're not at our most effective selves when we just never stop working and grind to all hours of every day. That's not a sustainable plan, and it won't certainly last, and it also doesn't lead to elite performance. So in my most recent book, Breathing Oxygen, there's a whole chapter that I do on this concept of rest, which, by the way, comes right after the chapter that talks about the mindset of grit. And I cite examples of course, to accomplish anything in the world, it's going to require hard work and us able to navigate our way through challenges and obstacles. But the piece that often gets missed is the role that rest and recharging and stepping back and aligning ourselves on all the things that we've been talking about during this series, actually what role they play in elite performance, the power and the connection between these and elite performance. So studies on elite performance show us that the person that says, has the mentality of, I'm going to quote unquote outwork the competition, or, it's all about just grinding harder and harder each day. I'm never going to come up for air. I can't possibly take time off. And in the long run, I'll just be better than the people around me at what I do. That actually doesn't play out statistically. And in fact, again, I did a whole podcast on this idea of rest and a new association with it in elite performance. And certainly, again, the chapter in the book, Breathing Oxygen, all about it, that you can read more about it if you want. Elite performance is not about never coming up for air, but it's about learning how to breathe more efficiently so we can navigate our way through the challenges and be at our best when our best is needed. How we rest, how we recharge, how we vision is as important to our elite performance as the hard work that we, of course, have to put in. So we have to work hard, but our ability to rest and recharge and do some of the things we're talking about in this series actually help fill in the gaps and help us become more elite in whatever we're trying to do. Americans alone leave 768 million days of vacation unused on the table each year. And so this is showing us that we aren't great about taking time off, resting, recharging. And unfortunately, we still have a mentality that I'm just going to outwork, and yet that doesn't lead to the best productivity. So there's an opportunity to better understand how rest and recharging, slowing down in order to speed up, actually leads to better performance. So today, we're focused on one aspect of what I try to do when I'm resting, recharging, stepping back, slowing down in order to speed up. And this is the idea of preparation breeds confidence. Again, on the past episodes in this series, we framed up this entire series by talking about slowing down in order to speed up, and the mentality around that, and the connection to the effectiveness of doing so. And then also we talked about in a whole episode about 3 other aspects of resting that I try to do on my time away, which is seeking joy. I did a whole episode on that. Breaking tendencies, breaking habits and routines and structures to look at them a little differently and reassess kind of what's working for me best. And then allowing my mind on the last episode to grow like bamboo. Some creative wandering to discover new things, consider new ideas, try something new, and the way that stimulates creativity in seeing that there are more ways to do something than we typically think, or we allow our time and space. And today, lastly, we're going to talk about this element of my time off and the rest that I do, that preparation breeds confidence. And so when I carve out my time each year to rest and recharge and study leave and to slow down to speed up, one of the intentional practices I do is I try to be very intentional about carving out some time to do some visioning and reflecting on what I want for the future. What do I want my life, my work to look like? And does it align with how I'm currently operating? If not, it's going to reveal that there are some adjustments or some opportunities that might exist. Now, I recognize that many people, when they go on a shorter vacation, just want time away and want to completely turn their brain off. I get it, and certainly I'm there at times too, and sometimes that's the purpose of shorter vacations and time off. But on the longer time off stints that I take, or very intentional time, again, that's more not just vacation, but time away for study, reflection, sabbatical kind of thinking, it's been extremely valuable for me to carve out time to do some intentional visioning and reflecting on what I hope to create in different areas of my life and work. To take some time to step back and think about my family life. And what is it what's a vision for what I want to be different there, or what would I want to breathe oxygen in that way? For my marriage, to think about what for the future, not just has it been great in the past, but what does it want for the future, and how could I breathe oxygen into that? My role as a father, to step back and think about my own energy level for my life and my work. Things that I've learned have brought me joy, or routines that serve me, spending time to think about that. What do I know about myself, and what brings me joy, and the routines that help me experience that? What goals or mission do I hope to work toward next in my work life? I allow time and space to step back and to vision, assess, align around what I want to and how to articulate it. Again, think about the 6 A's of leading change that I talk about in thermostat cultures. And I've done other pod episodes on the process of leading change, of stepping back and assessing what's going well and maybe where are opportunities, aligning myself around, well, what is it I really want into the future? And then aspiring, what is that vision for my life, for my family, for my marriage, for my work, for the project that seems to be bubbling up that I want to give more time and energy to? And how do I articulate what the goals might be, or what's the purpose? How do I explain that? How do I describe it? And then what would be actions that I'll put into practice? What would actions that would lead me in that direction? And lastly, how would I anchor it? What are habits or routines and structures I could put into place if that's a future that I'd really want to create? So, for example, with intentional time off, some of the ways I allow myself to prepare for the future is to do just that, and to do things like visioning for what I want a normal day or a normal week or normal month to look like during a year. I break it down with how I allocate my time and my attention, my energy, my money. What is it that I value, and do I even know what I want for the next stretch of the journey? And I challenge myself to vision that. What do I want a normal day or week or month to look like? What do we want a normal year to look like and feel like for our family? Reconnect with who and what I'm focused on serving in my work life. Who are the clients that I'm currently serving? And where do I see their needs? And what am I observing might be most helpful to them, and what it is that they need from me, and what impact am I hoping to have with them? Hopefully everybody listening to this who's a client of mine or is that I'm lucky to get to serve their team and organization, they hopefully everything they feel from me is that it's not a transactional thing at all. It's transformational. And so I purposely carve out time to step back and to think about what is it, to understand their needs and the opportunities and what they're experiencing, and then what impact I'm hoping to have with them so that I can be a better partner to them. In culture shaping, you've heard me talk about what we allow lingers. So the behaviors, the habits, the structures that we allow that are counter to the future that we want, those things that are counter to those tend to linger and fester and become the culture. And every individual, but also team and organization, has an opportunity to identify what are those things that might be lingering. And so I try to do that for myself personally. What are those things that are lingering, that are counter to what I want? And then what would I teach differently to trigger a different, more positive chain reaction into the future? So I assess my life and work from this lens. What might be lingering? And what do I want to teach differently? What is going to need my eyes the first week when I'm back? And so as I get to the end of my study leave or sabbatical, to begin to vision what's going to need my eyes and my attention when I'm back, and how can I block time and focus to make sure I'm prepared so that my mind and heart can better rest while I'm away. When I feel like I'm prepared and I've done the visioning and I've really asked those questions of what is it that I and the people that I'm collaborating with or working with, when we're clear on what it is that we want for the future, that breeds confidence that I'm prepared for that future that we're going to go and create together. And so again, the purpose of shifting our mindset to slow down, to power up in each of these ways, whether that's seeking joy or breaking tendencies or allowing our mind and creativity to grow like bamboo, and then this kind of preparation for the vision that we want to create that breeds that kind of confidence, all of these are ways that help me become more intentional and connected to what I want to do moving forward. so that I'm not just waking up each day and on autopilot mode in my life or my work. I want to be prepared. I want the preparation to breed the kind of confidence so that I'm intentionally living life and working on the things that bring me joy and the impact that I'm hoping to have. Every time I experience greater clarity on my path ahead and how I hope to travel in life and work, it gives me confidence to go make it happen. It's clear and I feel better prepared, and that helps my mind and heart rest, recharge, so that I can come back stronger when it's time to be at my best. So, some questions to ponder for today. What is your vision for your life and work in the next year? What is it? What do you vision? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? What's your vision for your life and your work in the next year? What might you be allowing to linger that might get in the way of realizing that vision? And what new habits or approaches would you like to teach differently to move in the direction of that vision for your life and your work moving forward? The effectiveness of your future actions will thank you because of this time to slow down in order to speed up. You'll be better prepared to be at your best when your best is needed. I hope today's episode got you thinking in new ways. If a deeper dive into any of these topics or another topic is interesting to you, please reach out to us, info@jasonvbarger.com, and we'll continue to design content that hopefully meets you where you are. I hope you'll go back and listen to past episodes and conjure up new, other topics that might contribute to your life and work as well. Cheers to the path ahead. I hope you find time and have found time mid-year to rest, to recover, to recharge, to study, to reflect, and to just rest so that you can be at your best when your best is needed. And remember that the future of leadership is you, is me, is us. We need to get clear on the temperature we hope to set. We have an opportunity to get clear on what is the temperature we even are trying to set. And then we need to be courageous and committed to breathing oxygen into those mindsets and the actions that will help sustain our path forward. Step back, remember, be a thermostat, and breathe good oxygen. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.